Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch.
Do I have anything in my nose?
Like a booger?
Yeah, do I have a booger?
Well, okay, let me look again.
Okay, well,
Let me just look.
Yeah, this is one of the main reasons why you have a spouse, is to check to see if you have boogers when you're in public. It's a lot easier than doing a selfie thing on your phone and looking up your nose.
Telling me that you don't know. I'm just trying to give you the grace that you need and be very patient with you, because I also need patience and grace from you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just have a meltdown.
I've just been really happy with you. But honestly, that.
All right, so to catch you up, they're talking the next morning. She's talking about how she's hungover from the drinking the previous night, and she's acknowledging that. And she is saying that she drank too much, and she's also apologizing basically for overreacting or being too insecure or being too drunk, So she is not busted up about it, right? She's not minimizing. She's not beating herself up. She's just like, yeah, I was too drunk. I'm sorry about that. So it's great.
It was a breaking point for me.
Wait, what did you say? It's a breaking point? What?
I've just been really happy with you. But honestly, that was a breaking point for me.
So they edited that. I don't know if they just took out a pause, but he said, I've just been really happy with you. Again, a phrase that is just a little off kilter, but whatever. Doesn't really matter if things are off kilter to me. It just matters how it is between the two of them. And then he follows it up with, wait, what's going on?
From you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just have a meltdown.
I've just been really happy with you. But honestly, that was a breaking point for me.
That's interesting, because when I was watching that scene, I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious or even if this was the case, but it kind of looked like he was trying to not start a fight, but not let the conversation just go past that common conversation that they have, where we've seen before, where she's just she's intoxicated and she's like, I just feel like I love you way more than you love me. And they've had that conversation at least twice, if not a few times on camera, and I'm guessing it happens off camera too. And usually he would be the one of, let's just sleep and then we can talk about it tomorrow or something like that. But he seemed to be perpetuating it. She several times would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, it's fine, and it is what it is, and let's move forward. And then he would, no, we got to. So I wondered in that moment if he had been thinking for a while that because of that issue or because of a lot of issues, he just didn't really want to be married to her. Or it was, crossing a threshold where it was very concerning. And so he's saying it was a breaking point. And, maybe it was just that. Maybe it was just the fact that she said it, and everything beyond that was beyond the breaking point. But anyway, I'm curious what he's meaning exactly by this.
Getting to the altar, that's not a happy idea for me.
Getting to the altar, that's not a happy idea for me. Are you breaking up? What? Okay.
I still want to get married. And I want to get married to you. I don't want to get married to somebody else. Please just try. Please.
The wedding is not something that I want to do.
I don't need you to tell me no right now.
Okay. Yeah, that is what he's saying. He doesn't want to get married. Maybe he's saying he wants to be in a relationship with her but not get married. That sounds like what he's saying. And then she says, I don't need you to tell me no right now. What? You will marry me whether you like it or not. Anyway. But he says, I don't want to go to the altar. That's not a happy thing or something. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take a guess and say that they had a conversation off camera, and then they told production, and production said, well, do you mind having that conversation over again? Well, we will see that. And, is it lying to the public? Not necessarily, right? Because if they wanted to be honest, they would say, let's talk about this again. So last night you said blank, I think that would be fine. I don't think we need to, because one of the problems with recreating the conversation, which I don't even know if this is happening, is that the conversation can look really strange unless you know it's the second time they talked about it. This has happened before, like with other major conversations, like when that guy last season or 2 seasons ago had to admit or admitted that he had 3 kids, even though he had never told her about it, And, I think it would still be dramatic of just like, okay, we talked about it. Let's revisit that. Or are you sure? That sort of thing. My point is that if it is a second conversation and we're not being told, then it can look kind of strange. Like the way he delivered it, it could seem very cold, right? Where he might not be a very good actor. And the original time that he mentioned it, he might have been a lot more caring. Because the way he's saying it right now is just like matter of fact, right? And the way that she's reacting, she doesn't seem surprised, which I'm guessing this must be the second time they talked about it, which would make total sense. I would hope most people would not have a conversation like that on camera for the first time.
Is not something that I want to do.
I don't need you to tell me no right now.
I know you don't want
Just
to
like
hear
how
it.
I don't need you to tell me yes right now.
I see. So she wasn't saying, you will marry me or else, or you will marry me whether you like it or not. What she's saying is, I don't need you to commit right now. We can go to the altar and you can say yes or no there, or we can give it a few more, give me another chance. Maybe that's what she's saying is like, give me another chance. I'll show you. I won't do that thing again that I did last night. That was too drunk and I, was in that mode and I don't like that. It's not really me. Give me another chance. So that's probably what she's saying, right?
I can't go on any longer.
Let yourself be happy.
Okay, so he is, well, I guess we don't know what he's saying precisely, but usually this means they're breaking up. I don't know if we've ever seen a couple legitimately date after they decide not to go to the altar, or one person is a no at the altar, right? Usually it's pretty disastrous when they do, which is kind of interesting when you think about it, or what I think about it, in that if you're connecting and it's just too soon, then why not just see, right? Why not just give it more normal time, the way people normally, I don't know the average time from first date to wedding, but in my circle, it's, 2, 3, 4 years or something. So why not just give it that amount of time, right? And on the other hand, what I would say is that it's sort of like, I watched a documentary about the band Aha from Norway, I think, Scandinavia somewhere, and they, right out of the gate, had this massive hit and album and music video, and afterwards had a lot of success. But it was a massive reduction in fame and success after that first album. And it seemed to me, watching this documentary about them, that it always felt wrong. It felt like they were failing, even though if they never had that first album, they would have been happy to have had the success that they had. They had tremendous success after that first album, Many, many sales of the album, tours, attention, long-term fans for 20, 30, 40 years. So yeah, sometimes I think that if you start out at like the pinnacle of like romance and quickness and love and marriage is just around the corner, and then you scale back, it by contrast feels like you're failing, or feels like the relationship isn't going to work, when if you just did it the normal way and let it simmer, or slow cook, if you will, then it would have been fine. I don't know. Or a lot of the people that are saying no, they are just softening the blow by saying let's be friends or let's date or something like that, when in reality they're pretty much done. Anyway, so he's saying I can't go on. I don't want to go on anymore. So I think he's saying I don't want to be on the show anymore. He's not saying that explicitly. And then she's saying, let yourself be happy. Yeah. So everything beyond this point, when we look at her behavior, it's hard to evaluate, really. If we just look at it in terms of its verbatim, what she's doing doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if someone's telling you that they don't want to be with you, or they want to break up with you, or they don't want to marry you, then rationale would say you shouldn't argue with them. One, it's not going to work. Two, don't you want to be with someone who wants to be with you, particularly her, right? But if you're insecure, then you're going to be desperate on a number of levels, not just like, I want someone who loves me, but I just want someone who's there for me, or I just want someone to change their mind or something. So when people are being dumped, there's a lot of kind of odd behaviors. Not all of those behaviors are justified. There's abuse that can happen, but there's some wonky stuff, irrationality or ill-advised points or attempts, right? So, we can let her off the hook and just say, well, she's being dumped, which is hard.
You're Nick fucking Amato. Like, you do everything. You literally do everything and you do it well. So why wouldn't you do this?
Marriage to me is such a cornerstone, like, of life.
Yeah. I wonder what she means exactly by that. That's interesting. And it fits with the way that she talks about him, saying, you're perfect, when Edmund is like, yeah, I'm not perfect. And then Nick says, yeah, I'm not perfect either. And then she argues with that, says, no, you are perfect. So idealization, or, you're just in love. It's hard to know. But she's like, you do everything perfectly. You're the best. Why can't you just keep going? I wonder if she's saying marriage independent of the show, or is she saying, I want to be on the show longer? I don't think so. I don't normally think that. She doesn't seem like the type. So I imagine that she's just grasping,
With me, that also believes marriage is a huge cornerstone. I know that I will be a great wife. I know that I will have a great marriage. Like, I know that I will be a great mom. I'll be a great mother.
I've taken everything you've said to me like to heart.
Yeah, maybe it'll work. I don't think we've ever seen this sort of thing work on the show. Usually by the time someone says this on camera, they're pretty sure, right? And, she's given it a good shot. Of the sort of things we will see people say when they're being dumped, this is a good attempt, and could even be worthy. Is she correct? Is it possible? Yeah, but, for him to say he doesn't want to get married to her, it's not just, it's a little annoying, or there's some minor issues. It's probably been building for a long time. There could be all sorts of things that he doesn't even want to say to her or on camera as to why he doesn't want to get married. I will say that of the things that we've seen, the fact that she is so idealizing of him, the fact that she constantly feels like she loves him more than he loves her, even though, if in his heart he's just like, it's not even true. I'm really into her, and I show her that, and she is just not accepting it. Or he wasn't real. I don't know. I think most of us, maybe me, would say, but I don't really know, would say that he was never that into her to begin with. Maybe even not that into, I want to provide some nuance here, because let's just, for the sake of argument, say that Nick in the pods was there's different versions of being sure. There's different versions of being in love. There's different versions of proposing and that sort of thing, right? And people in the audience tend to look at it in a black and white dichotomy, that you're either a billion% into it or you're just 0% into it. But of course, there's a lot of different things in between. I would imagine most people would be in between, because it's such a short amount of time. You might be like, a part of you is just like, yes, yes, yes. But another part of you is like, well, it hasn't been that long. And anyway, so we can imagine that Nick, on the scale of things, if we put certain people, I'm trying to think of a reference point from previous seasons, because I don't think anyone is a good candidate for 100% this season. But in last season, we didn't really see that either. Well, Daniel and Taylor, but I don't know, it was hard to tell from that. And then it was like Garrett and Taylor. So Garrett, if you remember Garrett and Taylor being the Happa, that Garrett seemed really sure. Taylor seemed not as sure. So if we just say that Garrett was just like, yes, and then he meets Taylor and he's like, yes, then if we put that at like 10 out of 10, then let's just say that Nick was an 8. So, and if things went well and there was physical attraction, then it goes to 9 or 10 by the time the wedding comes along. You know what I mean? So I just want to add that because there's a lot of a spectrum zone between Garrett being a 10 out of 10 and I'm just trying to think of someone else. Well, if we just look at Taylor, right? Garrett and Taylor, Garrett's a 10 out of 10. Taylor seemed like an 8 out of 10, or maybe a 9, maybe a 7. I don't know, but not a 10. Taylor was explicit that she's like, well, we'll see. And Garrett was just, he seems like once he made that decision, it was just like, yep, unless something really, really horrible happens, which it didn't. He was just like, I am committed and I'm in love. He meets her. He's like, whoa, she's attractive, and we're gelling. And we just had that one or two little fight. I mean, it was kind of a thing, but it wasn't a big enough thing. And so he's like, yes, 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 yes. And they're still married today, as far as I know. Anyway, so it's possible that I say all this because when we watch it, if we're trying to, take guesses and speculate and conceptualize, I think it's important for not only just accuracy, but also so that we don't walk away from watching shows like this with a pessimistic, demoralized view of humanity, right? Because if you say he wasn't into her, if he wasn't a 10 out of 10 and therefore he's a 0 out of 10, then we walk away from a scenario like this with a not great perspective of humanity. When most people are on the up and up, most people are trying, most people are honest for the most part, Maybe there's parts of them that are not being revealed, like some trepidation or something, but most people are, they're trying. So I say all that because I worry sometimes about the audience having destructive perspectives.
I'm saying no.
But
And that's a decision that only I can make. I'm choosing what's right for me. And that's...
Baby, just try now because this is where we're at.
Yeah, it would be strange if she didn't do this sort of thing. And she's not being hostile. In a way, you could think about breakups like this as a process. And if I were a little birdie on his shoulder, I would say, if you're sure, just keep repeating it because it's going to take a bit of time for her to adjust. The thing that I realized many years ago was that when you break up with someone, you have been thinking about it for a while. And the adjustment to that threshold of like, okay, now is the time that I tell this person. You have been through so many steps. You've been processing, you've been thinking, you've been accepting, you've been wrestling, you've been vacillating. By the time you tell someone, it represents a journey. And for the person that you're breaking up with, in all likelihood, they are just starting their journey. So it makes sense that it's going to take some time. You've been, this is a truncated time span because of the show, but let's say that he's been sure about this for a few days or something. And it'll take at least a few days for her to get to the point where she can just accept, okay, I guess this is for sure. And I've said all the things, or I've had my vacillations, or I've tried to, hey, are you sure? Or what about this? And what about that? And if your partner that you're breaking up with is not being abusive, then I think it's the ethical thing to do to just sit calmly as best you can and just keep, like a broken record. Maybe you say it from different angles, but you just keep saying it. And okay, yeah, I hear you, but I have made this choice and I'm 100% sure. And that's basically what he's doing.
Like, get out of your head and just be in this and love me and it's amazing.
I do love you.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. So on one hand, there is some evidence that she is a person who can see happiness and joy in all situations, or many situations. So maybe that's what we're seeing. Another option is that she's fawning. Not that she's being traumatized, but that she's trying to be the most pleasant servant so that he'll change his mind, the way a child might go to a parent and say, come on, buy me the teddy bear, come on, or can I stay up till 9 o'clock and watch Love Boat? That was what I was always trying to watch.
How long do you want to drag this out for?
Maybe I don't.
Okay, another possibility is they've already been through this conversation. They're recreating it. She knows that it's sort of goofy that they're recreating it. And she, either to producers or amongst themselves or just in her head, she's like, okay, I have to rewind and say all the things that I said. And now she's laughing. Yeah, as a professor that would teach, classes on therapy, as the other professors would too as well, we often, in an attempt to create a scenario for a therapist to try out things, we will ask other students to role play being a client, right? And I have learned over the years that generally speaking, people are not good at improv. Not that I am, but when you just take average people and ask them to do improv work, it's actually really hard. It's a skill. And people will have a hard time breaking character, not breaking. They will. It's very easy for them to break character and laugh, but it ruins the accuracy of the scenario for this. There's a student that's trying to practice. We only have so much time. And if you have another student that isn't trying hard and they're just like laughing in the middle of a scenario, it's not great. So I'm familiar with the nervous laughter of improv, and I don't know if that's what I'm seeing. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.